I'm very excited. Hello, everybody. Hello. It's Colette Baron-Reid. And this music is loud. Are we going to dance? I don't know. I just found out from my team, and I want to thank you. Literally, we just found out we crossed 80,000 subscribers this week, and we really only started
on YouTube.
On YouTube, YouTube. I want to say YouTube. We really kind of only started on YouTube this year, really, when you think about it. So that was amazing. So we must be giving you something that you like, and we're going to continue to do that. Now, I am here to do the December 15 card spread, but before that, I have something to talk about. So I have to look at my computer because I can't remember it off the top of my head. December the 13th. Oh my God. Okay, we are doing the most interesting, free online event to help you prepare for the winter solstice. And when I say it's interesting, I don't think anybody's ever done this, but I hooked up with an amazing astrologer. Many of you have heard Colin Bedell on my podcast, Inside the Wooniverse. And we had a really good talk about about attachments and issues when we want to cut cords, how that impacts us, and how do we get into this kind of attachment or trauma bonding with other people, places, things, experiences, stories, things like that, where we really are in a sticky situation and we know that we can't move forward with. We're dragging a big bag of stuff around and we don't know why, and we find ourselves behaving in ways that are that aren't supportive of the journey that we actually really want to have in our lives. So basically, bottom line is we're going to go through everybody's moon sign. And we're going to talk about the different ways that our moon, which is really the seat of our emotion, how we have different ways of attaching with the stories that we have that are not supportive of us. And same thing with those kind of sticky relationships that we have, and we want to cut the cords. Now, we also want to do it without aggression. So we're really going to have an amazing, sacred experience. It's December the 13th at noon, Eastern Standard Time. It's called the Energetic Cord Cutting Ritual According to the Stars with astrologer Colin Bedell. I have to find out how you go there to get notified when, I just lost it. Okay, that's no good. I'm just going to...
Cord cutting.
Thank you.
ColetteBaron-Reid.com/.
/ cord cutting. Sorry about that. My file just disappeared on my computer. That wasn't good. But hey, it's ColetteBaron-Reid.com / cord cutting. You can't go wrong. And it's free. And what we're going to be doing is preparing you so that when the solstice actually comes, and so many people are going to be doing these beautiful events on the solstice, because we're up in the northern hemisphere at the point of greatest darkness, we're able to really see how we can clean house before we step back into the light. And then for the people down under, the people in the southern hemisphere, you're really welcoming in the darkness, like you're saying goodbye to the light because you're at the peak, and there's a humility in the harvest. And so basically this point of vantage for everybody is all about surrendering to these cycles that are greater than us, but that we're really a part of. So we really want to do this together, and I'm excited. Okay, so now if you're new to these readings that I do every month, I'm doing a 15 card spread using my Oracle card deck that I created with Dr. Alberto Villaldo. It's called The Shaman's Dream, and it's based on the archetypal experience of the shaman. It's not cultural shamanism, so it's really about the initiatory experience that we have in different realms that all of us are experiencing, whether we asked for it or not here. So it's more of a Jungian archetypal kind of way of us looking at this. So you don't need to know anything about shamanism to work with this deck. It's just really about these layers of beautiful stories that we can connect to. So the first three cards are really about where we are, and then we kind of go into where we're naturally flowing, and then the nature of the shadow that can actually work for us or against us. So we're looking at what can help us move beyond what is troublesome or our obstacles, or actually just what the nature is. So that'll give us some information about that. Then we're going to be looking at the storyline that is going on without us knowing. So this is what's going on in the unseen. That's for our benefit. And this is the wild cards, where spirit is stepping in and ensuring that our path evolves as we emerge as new selves, right? So I'm going to start. So this is both prescriptive and predictive, okay? So pay attention. You can always watch this again later. So tomorrow is the first day of December. We are in Sagittarius season, so there is also an overarching theme that brings a kind of a quality to our experience in this month anyway. So we start the first 23 or 22 days of the month in Sagittarius, which is about very optimistic sign. It's Jupiter ruled, so there's a lot of possibility for intensity, but not the kind in Scorpio. This is more like overeating and like overdoing things or making things too much. But it's also looking for the higher truth. So when I did the reading just before the cameras went on, I thought, "Ooh, this is so interesting how that blends in." So it's not an escapist. Sometimes people look at holiday time or this particular season as a means to escape, but we can't. There's no such thing as bypassing this month. We're really closing out the year with a tremendous amount of poignancy if we are willing to look and to trust that within this there is an emergence of hope. Beautiful, beautiful hope. And I always see that this time of year around gratitude and hope and what else can we learn. So the first card that I pulled was deep quiet. Now, one doesn't think of the holiday season as deep quiet, but the month of December is requiring us to spend more time in meditation and less time running around and saying yes to every single social thing. You might want to say no, and it's got to be okay. And why is that? Because beside it is the empty well, which you are going to need time to replenish and to be very mindful of the people that you spend time with and the people that spend time in your head rent-free. Okay, that's really important, right? And that's what we're going to be doing in the cord cutting event also December 13th. So pay attention to that. It makes total sense that we're doing the event now that I'm looking at the cards. So on the other side of this is Fool's Embrace, which is about transmuting pain. So let's look at this 3 cards as the main theme. So we have had, I don't care what anybody says, nobody has been without a sense of pain. And that there's a reason why trauma has become such an important word in our collective in talking about healing and talking about emergence and talking about who are we going to become. And really looking with love and compassion. And so transmuting pain means that we embrace the parts of ourselves that, and especially here, oh boy, are we, family brings up so much pain, so much deep pain, stuff that, may not be resolved or even resolvable. And yet you still love these people and it's confusing, et cetera. So that could be coming up for some people, or, you might have lost a loved one and this is your first holiday season without that loved one. There's a lot going on. And also we look at what's happening in the world. I mean, you cannot put your head in the sand. You can't be an ostrich right now. But it's asking us to remember that we are not the ones to solve all the problems. We have to start with ourselves. So deep quiet is about humility. It's about honoring our self-care, right? I'm a total anti-hustle person lately. I'm putting together this new business class for 2023 that basically is based on 35 years of my work and really talking about how important it is for us to be in this beautiful partnership. And so this month is like that, being in partnership with the divine and not trying to distract yourself from the feelings that are going to come up for you, but to really welcome the love and the forgiveness, right? I mean, I don't know if you've resented somebody. I remember I had this resentment against somebody and worked it through and thought, why did I resent that person? That was so weird. It's because I didn't think they liked me. It was so stupid. Like, we're back in grade 3. All right. Sometimes we're kids again. We're like, we go back into these like when Mean Girls or things like that. It's so silly, but we do it, and to be able to laugh with our friends and getting connected to your closest friends right now is really important, and not to have an expectation that you're always going to be disappointed or hurt. That's the other thing. So that's this thinking about the higher truth, which is we really are in this together. So empty well, really important to replenish. If you are too fried to go somewhere or you feel obligated and you have to go, make sure there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, boundaries around your social engagements, even your work. You know what? Do the best you can. This is a month where you're going to be noticing some feelings. Okay. And it's funny because Scorpio season was freaking last month. And I thought there's all the feelings. And now it's like we're processing the feelings, right? So there's a really deep sense of gratitude as well. So here's what's beautiful. The first card that I pulled is the wailing tree. As where are we heading? It's deep reconciliation. So it's also about, knowing that you don't have to be perfect, and knowing the world doesn't have to be perfect, and knowing the world doesn't have to behave for you to help make the changes that you need for yourself to be happier and to belong. This is really also about belonging. And being creative in that belonging. Spirit of the river, awesome, means we're naturally moving into a new adventure, which I know is coming in 2023. And even though 2023, we're just finishing a universal year of 6 in numerology, we're moving into a 7-year next year. So there's lots of stirring up stuff, but it's good. It's really good. There's beautiful learning coming from all of this. And so deep diver is diving into a task, right? So we dive into the adventure and we recognize that we cannot have, we can't keep fostering negative feelings or those kind. And again, I go right back to resentments being the number one offender. Okay, so can we recognize that we are all the people we resent, the situations that have come up with us last month to look at, and now we're really looking at it. It's like, wait a second, this is a waste of time. What good is coming out of this? What if I brought love to the situation and allowed myself to see everybody as flossom, if you will, and we're doing the best we can with the tools that we have, and we're learning new tools, and as we learn new tools we can do better, but nobody's going to get this right. So it's about releasing ourselves from the burden. It's not about condoning anybody, because people do shitty things. Situations are shitty, the global catastrophes, name it, there's a list, right? But this is this need also for absolute radical acceptance for life on life's terms, as well as both and knowing that we're creative beings, knowing that we're resilient, knowing that inside us is everything that we need to know, but we need to keep getting rid of the gunk. Now, let's look at the nature of the obstacles. We have a sacred contract to get rid of the gunk. That was the first card here. So these are fabulous cards because the galactic mushroom, which is about the divine matrix, which really talks about our relationship to God in this deck. The covenant, we have a sacred contract. We are emissaries of the divine. And crown games is about the right use of power. Okay, so this is a very, very interesting reading about the nature of our wounds. So that, and the nature of our obstacles, because the obstacle always comes from the perception of something not being whole, when in fact that's coming from a wounded perspective. Or because if we changed our view, we changed our lens, we might see things differently, and therefore we wouldn't have an expectation or making it mean something that it isn't. So it's, what are we making it mean is the question I always ask in Oracle School. That's what people learn how to ask. What does this mean? What am I making this mean? What else could this mean? So here it says this is about the human power versus divine power. That in fact we share the universe, or God or spirit or whatever you want to call that. I call it the conscious universe, but I also use God. I have no problem with that word. I just don't see it as the white guy in the sky. So it's just this consciousness of divinity that is in every single one of us. Well, that's our main power. My higher power has to lead. If my ego leads, then I'm not in the right use of power, and I'm looking through the lens of lack. And I'm, so I want you guys to think about that. When we are in a power game, we're completely forgetting that our higher power is, everybody has a higher power. The higher power has made us, and we are here to experience human life through our bodies, through our personalities, through our lives. And so when we put our higher power first, that is how we heal the wound of and we move back into the right use of power, which is surrendering the power, to my higher power. I surrender. One of the things that I learned in recovery, and most of you know I'm going to be 37 years clean and sober, one day at a time, pretty soon. And that's the first thing that I learned when I got into recovery, which was like, I am, who's large and in charge? Well, not me. So knowing that my desires count, knowing your plans count, closing out the year, recognizing, oh, this is how far I've come. You guys have to keep remembering, this is how far we've come. We've still come a long way, even though there's lots to do. It's just that all of a sudden now we're ready to see how much there is to do. We weren't ready before. Now we're ready. The onion skins are being peeled. Yes, there's going to be tears. Who cares? It's worth it. Every tear is worth it. So if that's the nature of the obstacle, then what's been going on underneath? Everything. So remember I said that when Alberto and I decided to make this deck, that we were coming from this it's not cultural, it's coming from a Jungian perspective, right? Which is Carl Jung, which is a Swiss psychologist. So this is really the psychology of initiation. Well, this is what's happening, initiation, right? Oops, sorry, you guys have a camera looking at the cards. Pointing. The initiation is what's happening. And so when you look at the archetype of initiation as an experience that is universal, an initiation process usually has to create some form of isolation from what we know. And there's a task that seems impossible, facing an impossible task, doing something that feels dangerous, moving outside our comfort zones for sure, being faced with having to let go a lot of things and transform and come back with a gift for our communities. Okay, that's what this is. That's what initiation is. Well, guess what? We are being initiated. This is what this is. And we can't help it because we are connected. The jeweled web is all about our connectivity. So this month, and the horseman is the herald of change. So this is all part of this beautiful process we have to undergo. And it means that in our vulnerability, and as we transmute the pain into wisdom, into really deep wisdom, because Sagittarius is about higher truths, and we try not to over-imbibe, to escape all of this stuff, we are actually moving ourselves forward and emerging as the person that we are meant to be in a different way, stepping into 2023 with more wisdom, more humility, more creativity, more love for other people, more compassion. And this is what is possible for us. And boy, oh boy, there is more hope. I just finished a painting called The Emergence of Hope. So that's been really part of what I'm tuning into these days. Anyway, so what's Spirit doing for us? Well, we can't. Any time that we try to get away from doing our work, Spirit's going to remind us of Root Girl, which is the disowned self. So basically, if you want what you say you want, which is a life that is more fulfilling and meaningful and creative, etc., whatever your list is, we're going to be doing a vision board challenge coming up also in January. We'll help you focus in on that. But interestingly enough, Spirit's going to make sure that we are reflected, and that wound that may have started when we were little kids gets love. We cannot disown ourselves anymore, right? We don't need to hustle for our worth. Somebody recently said that in my mastermind, and I had just written those words in this new course that I'm teaching, and it's the idea that, we keep moving so fast, we don't stop long enough to bring the pieces that we see that are broken and bring them in and maybe put that gold line in them, like in Japanese pottery, right? I don't remember what it's called, but when they seal the pottery with gold where it's cracked, it's like allowing yourself to be gold. Revelation is here. It's the unmarked trail. So Spirit's going to help us. This is Spirit working. These are the wild cards. Spirit's working in our behalf to protect the future. We must acknowledge and love the parts of us that are wounded, and from there we get our epiphany. So this December, if we are really genuinely going to step into, I was hoping all the cards are going to say we're going to have a party. Well, we can, but we're also going to be doing this along the way. And I think that that's how we hold hands. It's not the same thing as trauma bonding, right? That's something we're going to be talking about at the thing with Colin. It's really about knowing that everyone, that there's a level of suffering that obviously on different spectrums happen to different people, but our humanity can never be happy, joyous, and free just that way, right? It doesn't make any sense. Wabi sabi. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was thinking of my friend's book, Wabi Sabi Love, and I'm thinking, is that correct? Anyway, so it's really, it's in our vulnerabilities that we have intimacy with other people, that we can be in community with other people. It's not about connecting through our woundology, as Carolyn Mace likes to call it, at all. But it is through our vulnerability that we find spirit. It's when we pull down those walls that make us so rigid and tight and needing to see things only a certain way and having no space for the nuance. So I believe we're moving into December to recognize the nuance, to let ourselves feel our feelings. Have a cup of hot cocoa, sit down with yourself, do some journaling, meditate, and remember to be grateful. Even our most painful moments are gifts in strange wrapping paper, and that's a shout out to you, Dr. Darren Weissman, because that's how you like to say that. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Back again, Mark, should we talk about in case people came late?
What are we talking about?
Well, should we talk about the, December 13th?
Yes, you should.
Okay. Okay, so I don't have my notes because it's moved, but I remember it now. December the 13th at noon Eastern Standard Time. You are invited to come to a free event. And it's my gift to you guys for the end of the year. And it's a preparation for the solstice. It's a preparatory. It's all about cord cutting according to your astrology. So we are going to be going with Colin Bedell, most amazing, brilliant young man. You can look him up. Queer Cosmos is his website. Anyway, so we're talking about attachment theory and how our moon signs, show us how we can do better with cord cutting and the things that we need to know. And then what are the things to avoid when you're stepping into cord cutting as a ritual? Looking at the astrology, understanding, how our attachments and our trauma bonds create these really unhealthy dynamics between us that can be healed. So when we do cord cutting, it doesn't mean that you just never connect anymore. It's really cord cutting the energy. You don't want that unhealthy energy. You can really transmute extraordinary ways in your relationships, to stories that you tell to other people, to your past, to your expectations, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I hope to see you there. Go to ColetteBaron-Reid.com/cord cutting. That made it easy. Well, thank you for coming, everybody. I had fun. What a month. I'm actually feeling it. I don't know if you guys are feeling it, but I'm more sensitive than normal moving into December. Usually December, I've got my tree up already because you guys the Americans, I know you put up your trees, I think on Thanksgiving, and I can hardly wait to put up mine. I like to keep mine up until Valentine's Day, but Mark won't let me. It's my holiday tree. I call it my winter tree with all the sparkles, and I have little mice everywhere. You'll see pictures soon. Bye, everybody.